Jack, your understanding of Russia being pushed more into China's corner, and can the US have a two-front confrontation? I mean, the focus is shifting away from the Indo-Pacific and China's aggression.
Right, and that's the challenge, Amitabh, because the administration has wanted to keep the eye on the ball and basically still hone in on China. I expect that to be the focus, right? But they're revising the national security strategy, Biden's foreign policy blueprint, which was almost off the shelf and ready to be rolled out before Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. Now that has to be revised to sort of a new world order. But the same issue still holds, as you mentioned, I think very astutely. The U.S. isn't in the business anymore of fighting two-front conflicts. For years, it was the Pentagon's military doctrine that you could sort of toggle back and forth between two major wars and then a smaller theater war. The U.S. just doesn't have the military bandwidth for that anymore, and they've laid that out very clearly in the 2017 National Defense Strategy. So I think, again, what we're going to continue to see is the military focusing its efforts on a China conflict. But the question is just going to be, can you walk and chew gum, as the Washington phrase goes, potentially putting more troops into NATO zones to reassure the allies while simultaneously preparing for, what everyone expects in a few years to be much more ramped up pressure on Taiwan from the Chinese.
You mentioned it earlier, but Meghdut Bakale has this question. Do you think Russia getting away with Ukraine will encourage China to think they can also get away with Taiwan?
It's a fascinating question because it's something that the U.S. has thought quite a lot about. And actually, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has been thinking a lot about basically what the lessons learned would be for a Taiwan conflict. I think there are a lot of questions basically around the timing, the accuracy of American intelligence systems to spot a buildup. It might not be, just wide out in the open in the same way that we saw the Russians basically ramping up and ramping down pressure on Ukraine for months. So the Chinese may try to do it a little bit faster. And the Chinese also seem like, just militarily, they're a little bit of a ways away, right? You have to cross the Taiwan Strait. That might not be something you could do with paratroopers going right into Taiwanese air defenses. So it's a little bit of a tricky military problem for the Chinese. And now I guess they're aware that you could sort of face this quote unquote pariah status. Now, how long you can isolate economies like Russia and China to be determined. But certainly this is basically the opprobrium that Washington would try to bring down on China. The precedent has been set for if there were invasion of Taiwan.